Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. I am Fofo.
And I'm Bones, and I think I have Tinga. Can you check?
We'll find out. I don't want to tell Bones if she has tinga. For this podcast, we are going to talk about the rest of our lives.
So, is this about the rest of our lives together?
It could be together or not. We don't know what the future will bring. If I said that before, automatically Bonizi would
Freak out!
cry.
Yeah.
You haven't
Crying
cried.
is freaking out also.
Bonizi has not cried on the podcast for quite a while. She has become a stoic, emotionless statue, I believe.
Excuse me, I still have emotion here.
Okay, but anyway, so we want to talk about this and basically just project on what we think will come into our lives over the rest of it. Because so many things have changed nowadays, right? Especially because of 2020 and 2021.
And honestly, when we first got together, this is something that we would also do. So we would, not naman plan, but we would kind of foresee how we would want our next 2 years to go, our next 5 years to go, and etc. etc.
Okay, but before we get into the nitty-gritty details, we'd like to let everyone know that this podcast is sponsored by
Play Hard Fitness.
So just a quick story before we get into the topics. This bench, the bike, everything that you see here in this frame is from Play Hard Fitness, except for those trolleys.
And before the lockdown actually happened, Mikael and I were really going to the gym a lot and really consistently. And it was only a couple of months ago that we decided na, sige, hindi na tayo mag-gym so that we can stay safe and healthy at para makaiwas din tayo with, I guess, interacting with other people in the same area.
Yeah, so we decided to set up a home gym, a real one with a bench, with a bike, with dumbbells behind the camera. And Play Hard Fitness was an amazing partnership that we found, and we're so happy with them because literally everything we do now is at home. We don't need anything outside. We're self-sufficient at home. We gym, we work. We eat, sleep, and do everything at home.
Yeah, kaya hindi na rin kami umaalis ng bahay. But thank you so much to Play Hard Fitness because even with figuring out what we needed for our... Figuring out what we needed for our home gym, tinulungan din nila kami dito. So if you guys are wondering kung saan kayo makakabili ng gamit para sa home gym nyo, just check out Play Hard Fitness.
Do you know Tigger from Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
Who's Tigger's brother?
Figure.
Okay. Anyway, we digress. Let's move back to the topic at hand. So, Bonizi, let's forecast what is going to happen to us for the rest of our lives. First thing is first, let's stick to work.
Okay.
What do you think is going to happen to you in GMA?
So my forecast for my work with GMA is that I will still be working with GMA in the future. But I do wonder if I'm going to work as just an actress, just a host, or am I going to take on a different role? Am I still going to be in front of the camera, or will I be behind the camera also?
I like that. So expound on that. If you were to try and think about what other roles can you play aside from actress and host within GMA, what would that be?
Well, before I really wanted to become a writer and I wanted to create stories. So I was thinking, what if like I produce something like a new show? What if I become a producer of a show in the future? So where do you foresee your career in the future?
In GMA.
In GMA.
In GMA specifically. So in GMA specifically, I think acting is something that I do enjoy. It's just that there are certain aspects of acting that I'm not sure is going to fit later on. Just like anyone else, when you have a kid, parents tend to veer away from teleseries only because it takes up so much of their time.
Yes.
And we've seen it with so many actors and actresses na they would veer towards hosting gigs because that's more regular and the hours are a bit easier, so there's more time spent with the family. So I feel like that's a decision that I'm going to have to make.
Eventually, yeah.
I think the balance of acting and hosting might change, or I think it will change. I just don't know how. And I'm very open to that. But I would also like to be able to try out newer things in GMA. I think I've said this in a previous episode that digital media is such a huge thing nowadays, and I would love to get into some alternative media and content with GMA. So I hope that eventually the network opens up to these kinds of opportunities and I could be at the forefront, and I'm always willing to experiment. They know that. I know that. I'm saying it right here. So to give you an example, what if there were, let's say, bite-sized pieces of content produced by GMA and myself airing on, let's say, YouTube, or let's say Instagram, or let's say other platforms. You have Kumu, where people enjoy these bite-sized pieces of content. Maybe a cooking show, maybe me building PCs.
Yeah.
Diba? Or me talking about tech news for the Filipino masses. So all these ideas are going through my head, and I feel like if I just had another entity, which is GMA, to help me flesh out these ideas, I think that's an opportunity to explore. So that's definitely one thing that I have with GMA. But I guess to talk specifically about teleseries, the hours that we have there, they're definitely tiring.
Yeah.
And it's difficult moving around nowadays because we just don't know when this pandemic is completely gonna go away.
Yeah.
So these are the choices that Bonizi and I are faced with. But one thing that I do know is that I think I know I am willing to work with GMA for a very, very long time. I'm honestly ready to work with them for the rest of my life because I'm so happy with them. I just don't know if they want to work with me for the rest of my life. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, it's always a management decision pagdating sa mga ganyan. So, is that all?
Yeah, for now, in terms of GMA, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
How about you? Have you been able to think of the shows you would like to produce?
Yes, so I have been thinking about it, and it's something that's also popped in my head before, that I wanted to produce weekly type shows before for GMA, na something na aabangan ng mga tao. Kasi dati we had shows like Click. It's like a teen TV show na inaabangan namin nung bata kami, nung high school kami, and it's something I really enjoyed. So I want to be able to produce something like that. Kasi times are changing, and the way that teenagers move around nowadays is also so different. So being able to have a show like that and tackle these things is something that I would like to do. And aside from that, I'd also like to do something epic. You know, parang like yung mga Game of...
What is epic?
Epic, parang like Game of Thrones, or like something that they had like Amaya before, pero weekly din.
Okay.
Kasi both of us know how heavy it can be creative-wise, like production design-wise, the hours-wise. So I'd like to do it na weekly yung episode instead of every day. And that's something that I hope that I can do in the future.
Okay, so this is slowly becoming a pitch meeting. So because we're talking about content we'd like to produce, it's time to insert social media. So social media has become 99% of our work because there's no GMA at the moment. I did my one teleserie, which is Love of My Life, and after that, we've waited patiently to see when is it extremely safe and when are we confident enough to get back to that kind of setting. But right now, it's all about IGTVs, podcasts, vlogs, Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Facebook videos, all these things. So Bonizi, how do you see yourself and your work with social media going forward in the future? And another question, what other platforms do you foresee or do you project popping up over the next 10 to 20 years?
It's crazy because you have apps like TikTok that really got famous during the pandemic, and it's something na parang winawali lang natin dati. We were like, oh, what's TikTok? Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do on this. And I'm sure that all these other apps like Facebook and Instagram also went through it. So as of now, you never know what's gonna pop out there. Like something is just going to click with everyone and it's gonna be there for a while.
Okay, for me, what I see is, as I mentioned a while ago, I wanted to get into more alternative digital media with GMA. And I just realized that part of that alternative way of creating digital media is being able to collaborate my own channels with GMA.
Yeah.
So imagine producing, let's say, a show about keyboards and like simulcasting that over TV and over the digital airwaves. And that would be so much fun. Like Bonizi can just geek out about her keyboards and it comes out on TV, but it also comes out on her social media channels. And maybe there are different incentives to watch on TV and to watch on through the internet. And these are just ideas that I have in my head that I feel are definitely very doable over the next few years or next decade at the very least.
Alam mo, di ba sobrang uso dati yung mga, di ba, magazines were like the in thing before. And I used to buy a lot of them. And you know that kasi nakatambak yung mga magazines ko. And that's something that I really want to be able to do is bring that physical copy ng magazine onto the screen again. We've had like a lot of magazine shows in the past. I've been a part of a magazine show before. Pero I want to see something new also. Parang what other kind of magazine shows can we have now that can delve into like the topics that you said, like keyboards, not just Kikai stuff. It can also be about tech as well. So bringing the podcast onto TV would be super fun.
Oh yeah. And you know what, there's so many ways. I mean, I feel like there's so many ideas now. Let's say we had the podcast airing on GMA TV and people wanted to go to, let's say, the shirt that you're wearing on the podcast. Maybe there could be a QR code on the bottom. You scan the QR code while you're watching us on TV or on your computer or on your phone, and it takes you directly to what we're wearing.
That's so high tech.
And yeah, it's high tech, but it's very simple. You literally just splash the QR code and connect it to a link linking to our clothes, like say for me.
That would be so cool, and you would also be able to partner up with so many different brands if you do that.
Exactly. So it's just so much easier now to kind of merge these different kinds of content. Unlike before, na TV was like this old analog thing, and then the internet was its own separate entity. Because of connectivity, you have QR codes, you have links, you have TVs now with Android OS.
Yeah.
It's now much easier to kind of seamlessly blend them together, and I would love to be able to see that happen and hopefully be a part of it.
You know how parang some people say it's sometimes good to be just good at one thing rather than being a jack of all trades. So how do you feel about that now that there's so many different platforms out there and then a bunch of different artists are on various platforms? Is this advantageous to us rather than just being an actor on TV or a TV host?
I like that. So there's a decision to be made here. So there's a decision to be a craftsman who is solely dedicated to just one kind of craft. Okay, and like you said, jack of all trades. Now, for some stories or some legends and myths would say na a craftsman is always better than a jack of all trades. And to a certain point of view, that is true.
Yeah.
But to another point of view, it is quite advantageous to be a jack of all trades. To a certain extent, I think we veer towards the jack rather than the craft.
Yeah.
Because we started off acting, but we pursued trying to learn how to host. So that took up, that took up time away from learning how to act.
Yes.
And then at the same time, we learned how to do vlogs. We learned how to do podcasts. We learned how to produce and edit. You're learning how to make keyboards, design keyboards. So we're veering away because we have so many different kinds of interest in different fields, categories, and industries. And that's what we like. That's what makes us happy. It makes you happy. So veering towards this jack of all trades kind of persona, I think makes us happy. For other people, it's waking up in the morning and just repeating and iterating on their craft and just trying to get just a little bit better by the end of the day. There are people who would be extremely happy doing that for the rest of our lives. It's just that I don't think that's us.
Yeah, I don't think so also. But to talk about the rest of our lives, I definitely see the both of us working with GMA for a really, really long time. And I think we will grow our family and we will still be with them at the end of the day.
All right. So now we've talked about GMA, we've talked about our work in social media. Bonizi, let's talk about something more personal, our hobbies and interests and activities. So what do you think is going to happen to you?
I want to be a keycap designer. So I want to be a keycap designer, and I want to design different kinds of keycap sets. So they will have different colorways, just like sneakers have different colorways. But of course, that takes up a lot of time and effort, and I don't know if I'm in that headspace right now. Because another thing that I also want to do is I want to make artisan keycaps, but I don't know how. So nandun yung idea, nandun yung desire ko to really push for it. It's just that I have no knowledge about it. I love, joining these raffles, and I love collecting keycaps, but I don't know the technicalities behind it. So that's something that I want to be able to learn in the coming year, and it's something that Fofo has been supporting me with, my love for keycaps and keyboards. So it's nice to be able to have a partner that supports you in your hobbies. So that's something that I foresee and I hope happens because I'm so into it. But of course, there's a lot of hard work, dedication, and time that also goes into making these pieces of art.
And that's really interesting what Bonizi just said because she's only been into keyboards for less than a year. So sobrang taas pa ng passion and excitement niya for it. So I told her, take it slow. Okay? Namnamin mo yung bawat moment enjoying this new hobby of yours. And then eventually, she will naturally fall into her place in this new hobby of hers. Kasi some hobbies, they go up and then they die down. Other hobbies, they go up and then they remain with you forever.
Yeah.
So we don't know what kind of place keyboards and keycaps will have in Bonizi's life in the grand scheme of things.
I actually find it so funny that I'm saying this kasi hindi naman talaga ako designer. Like, I don't think I have any art skills whatsoever or like color knowledge, but it's something that I'm super into, and hopefully I get somewhere there and magawa ko talaga yung gusto ko gawin with my keyboards.
And with that, we would like to remind you that this podcast episode is sponsored. So shout out and thank you so much to Play Hard Fitness. They supplied all of the equipment that you see and more because we have a dumbbell set behind us. We have some weighted vests. We have some bands to our right. And this all came from Play Hard Fitness. And they helped us set up this home gym. We even have a pull-up bar that will be installed when other people are allowed to come into our condo. But anyway, my answer to that question, Bonizi, which is, what other hobbies or activities do you think we're going to get into? I think that we have found such a sustainable way of working out with this home gym. Bonizi and I get up at around 7, 8 a.m. We work out by around 10, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's just been so consistent without effort. And when I mean without effort, dati kasi kailangan natin pumunta sa kotse, mag-drive, mag-park, dala-dala natin yung gamit natin. Tapos kung madaming tao, mag-aantay tayo. And obviously, we don't go through any of that here. So it's just been such an it has been the easiest ever to stay fit. So with that, I get to what I foresee, and that is me and Bonizi becoming our fittest ever. And this is because of this bike over here.
Yay!
This is an assault air bike from Play Hard Fitness. And we have been on a 12-week program so far.
Yes.
But this is 12 weeks out of 150 weeks. Our program is 3 years long, and we've only done 3 months. And Bonizi and I were talking about it. I was like, do you think we can commit to this? Because we tried it just for kicks, just for fun. And as we started doing it, we saw the gains, we saw the differences and changes in our body physically, even emotionally.
Emotionally, definitely, because the first time I went on this assault bike, I was telling Fofo, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this.
So it just seems like a weekly and daily challenge that Bonizi and I can really commit to. And as of now, I think I do want to go for that 3-year program. I want to be able to complete it. It's a goal of mine. Bonizi, how about you? Is this something that you're going to commit to? We're doing it on the podcast. Are you going to commit to 3 years?
Yes, I will commit. I am committed to 3 years of working out on this assault bike.
5 days a week.
5 days a week, but of course, if certain circumstances come up, let's say, for example, a baby, then we will have to put that on hold.
That is a valid excuse.
All right. So make sure that you guys check out Play Hard Fitness on Facebook and Instagram if you're interested in getting your own home gym setup.
Bonizi, is there any other activity or hobby that you foresee yourself getting into? Something even out of this world? Because I have another one for me. So what do you have?
Since you and I are so big on fitness, I have really wanted to study Pilates. And this is something that I brought up with you before, and I said, I really want to get into possibly teaching Pilates one day. I don't know if that's something I can do now, considering the times and that we can't go out. But I really want to learn more about it because I like the science behind it. I like that you can also work out but help people, with their rehab as well because of Pilates. So that's something that I want to be able to do in the future. Not sure if it's going to be during my younger years, but it's something that I foresee myself doing.
I like that. I like that because I imagine that there's a Bonizi's Pilates studio.
Yeah.
And next door is Fofo's Kapehan.
Fofo, that was my dream before when I was doing Pilates consistently. I was like, I really want to have my own Pilates studio, but it's so expensive to even just have one Pilates reformer. It is a dream that I do have for the future. But let's see, mag-ipon muna ako ng pera para sa Pilates na yan.
Pilates to the bones and Kape ni Fofo. That will be the two names of our two quaint shops in Subic, which everybody will be able to visit in the future.
Kape to the bones.
Kape to the bones.
Kape to the bones tayo dyan.
So that's an idea. Another idea that popped into my head, I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but I love building computers.
Yes.
I've always been into building. I remember back when I was a kid, I loved Lego. It's just that it was so expensive, so I never had a lot of it.
Yeah.
I already mentioned Tamiya, those cars that you build.
Yes.
You build them from scratch. So they come to you unbuilt and you have to build them. And I love setting up our IKEA furniture together.
I love setting up the
super
IKEA
fun.
furniture.
And now I get to build gaming PCs for Bonizi because I need editing rigs and gaming rigs. Bonizi needs a gaming rig, a streaming rig, an editing rig as well. So there are just so many excuses now to build a PC. I build PCs for my friends as well.
Mga kapatid mo,
And
kapatid
it's
ko.
been so much fun. I think that it could turn into maybe a business, maybe a higher level hobby. We'll see, but it's definitely something that I've been enjoying with my free time nowadays. I even repair laptops from time to time, just basic replacements of like hard drives and batteries. And it's just something that I enjoy. And it's something that I enjoy enough to know that it could be something later on.
So kung may papaayos tayong laptop, kay Fofo na tayo pupunta. So what about our future family, Fofo? Because we've discussed about having kids. We'll put that aside first. But what about pets? Because now we have Soba and Salem. And Soba is a year old now. Salem is like 11 years old. What is the next pet that we're going to get?
Bonizi and I have been teetering over the decision of whether Soba should have babies or not.
Yeah, we were trying to decide kung...
So we're always moving back and forth. Sometimes, yes, let's have her spayed and she can't have babies anymore. Or yes, let's give Soba a partner and make her have beautiful brown fluff balls of Soba.
But of course, syempre, iniisip ko rin na I don't want to give Soba just any partner because I want her babies to be nice and quiet also like her.
Okay lang yan, kahit saan, kahit sinong aso dyan sa kanto.
Hindi nakulot yung aso
I'm
natin.
just joking.
Oh my gosh, Popo.
Of course, we want it to be a pure breed poodle as well.
But also, I brought up
We don't want it to be a puskal.
Why not? Ay, hindi
Askal.
Askal. Hindi na askal.
Poodle. A poodle and an askal is a puskal.
Aspin na yung tawag, Fofo.
Okay.
Asong Pinoy. Okay, but I've also brought up with you adopting kasi that's also something that we're also open to. But for now, we'll just support the shelters na muna through our donations. I have a loaded question, Fofo, for
Okay.
So, talking about our future, we're living now in our second home together. Where do you think we're going to settle down? Like, this will be our home for more than 5 years, maybe.
So, we've been talking about Subic So what happens to Subic now that you asked me that question?
I don't know what's happening to Subic yet because we were planning to move there initially, but after looking at the house that we bought, we do need to fix it up quite a bit, and it will take time because of the pandemic and all the strict rules that are in place. And at the same time, we do have work coming up with GMA, which will mean that we need to be in Manila. A lot of our work is in Manila right now. So, do we still want to move to Subic just yet?
I still want to move to Subic eventually because
Same.
we do have that house there.
Same.
But you are right, it is definitely going to take at the very least half a year to maybe a year just to fix it up. And we only want to be able to do that when we can freely move and hindi siya magiging stop and go. Kasi syempre with the pandemic right now, sometimes construction can stop because if there's an outbreak
Yeah.
or whatnot. And that's not something we want to be able to deal with. We want to deal with because that's stressful.
Yeah.
So that's something we do want to avoid. And at the same time, Bonizi and I have been able to go around the Philippines, check out different places. So it's nice to be able to try living in different provinces as well. Kahit just short term, maybe a couple of weeks.
Okay, so gagawin natin yun habang wala pa tayong anak, diba? Kasi parang mahirap pag may anak ka na. Honestly, I want to move to Subic ASAP, but knowing my personality on how I want things to be efficient, I want time to be efficient with the work that we do, I feel like we're going to be staying in Manila for a couple of years pa before we fully move to Subic.
Really? Years?
Yeah,
Wow.
years. Years talaga. Kasi,
Bold.
because we're doing a lot upcoming na, di ba? We have an upcoming show with GMA, which has been announcing for Hearts. Abangan nyo. And we have a lot of other projects that hopefully matuloy din, di ba? So, for me, it's all about staying in Manila and making the most out of it muna habang wala pa tayong anak, di ba?
So this podcast episode has been like a pitch meeting for me and Bonizi to pitch to one another what ideas we have.
It's like that spider thread.
Yeah, and
that
there's
you
just
make
so
a spider chart.
And now there are just so many ideas, and these ideas lead to other ideas. I do have one thing which I have thought was very cool. So aside from Pilates ni Bones or Kapihan ni Fofo, I was also thinking that we have been streaming from time to time, and I think that gaming will be a part of our lives moving forward. It's something that we want to do and that we can do. I was thinking that you want to get into your keycaps. It would be cool to start staging tournaments and hosting tournaments for Filipinos.
Yeah.
Because I think that at the community level, so many games have such strong communities here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Pero yun nga lang, walang sumusuporta. And I would love to be able to get to know the communities, hopefully enjoy the games that they play.
Yeah.
And eventually come up with Bones and Fofo tournaments. First prize, a keycap from Bones. So I was just thinking, I mean, especially for the gamers out there, I'm sure you understand, it's so much fun when someone arranges a community event and gets everyone together. Sobrang saya nito when we can all meet up physically already, see each other, talk about our common wants and desires and common interests in games. So para sa akin, having these gaming and hosting these gaming tournaments is something that sounds really fun and interesting.
You know what naisip ko, Fofo? Since we love all these games, tas tayong reklamo minsan sa mga dev, gusto ko maging investor sa isang video game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, to all the indie developers out there, you can pitch your games to us.
Yes, please. Pitch it to us. We want to invest
Please
in video
do.
games.
We would love to try it out. Hindi po malaki ang budget namin, mga 20 to 50 pesos lang po, pero makakabili niyo yung pandesal.
I just remembered, Fofo, just now. There was this game that was raising money for there was this developer that was raising money for their game. And I just remembered, I want to invest in that game. So let's go over it later.
Okay, wow, I didn't know about this.
Yes, you did. We just forgot about it.
Okay.
So, road to investor in video games. Let's do this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. But before we say goodbye to you guys, we just want to remind you that everything that you see here, this bike, this bench, and of course, the weights behind you, here's a photo. Those are the weights. These are all from Play Hard Fitness. If you guys are looking for a home gym or you want to inquire about ano ba yung mga equipment na pwede yung gamitin sa bahay nyo with your space, just contact them through Facebook, Instagram, or their website.
Shout out to Mela because she helped us set up and pick
Thank you,
out all the
Mela.
pieces that we needed for our home gym, and all her choices were spot on. So thank you so much, and thank you once again to Play Hard Fitness. And with that, we have reached the end of this podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you were inspired to think about your future and the rest of your life and what other hobbies you could get into, be it fun, business, or financial, or wala lang. With that, thank you so much for joining us. I am Fofo.
And I'm Bones. Bye.
Bye.